meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lonnell's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So, head on over to Lonnell's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lonnell you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
From historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California. I'm Tavis, Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com or wherever you get your podcasts and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, a conversation with Susan Sturm, Columbia law professor and founding director of the Center for Institutional and Social Change, who will take us inside her new book, What Might Be: Confronting Racism to Transform Our Institutions. In our third hour, Vulture hails him as stand-up comedy's most prolific storyteller. Comedian Ali Sadiq has a new comedy special called Rugged, and he joins us today in our final hour. But in this first hour, a conversation with the president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, Maya Wiley. Pleased to have her back on this program to talk about her new memoir. It's called Remember, You Are a Wiley. She's also coming to town here in L.A., that is, later this week for a major address, and I'll tell you all about that a little bit later in this conversation. But I'm pleased to welcome back to this program Maya Wiley. Maya, how are you today?
I'm well, and thanks to be with you, Tavis. No, always a good day when I'm with you.
No, it's good to have you on. Thank you for the time, and I want to make the most of this hour that we have. But before I jump into the memoir, and we have an hour to unpack that and a few other, of course, news items. You know how this is. You can't talk to Maya Wiley and not ask you about some of this breaking news. Indeed, there are Supreme Court decisions. I just saw one pop on my phone just now. Supreme Court decisions starting to come out. Maya, of course, is an attorney, and so this is that time of the year in June where these rulings start to come out. Last year, they went all the way into July, as I recall. These are rulings from the court on cases they've heard in this term as they take their summer recess. So a few issues we'll get to a little later in the hour. And again, I'll tell you more about her speech in L.A. this weekend. If you're in L.A. or coming this way this weekend, Maya's giving a major address at an Empowerment Congress gathering, so we'll talk about that. But let me start with this. I've been reading a lot. We all have, and I've had a number of guests on this program, of course, connected to the mayor's race in New York City. So much has been happening. We saw one of the candidates arrested by ICE the other day. We see the top two challengers going at it every day. This race is tightening. Andrew Cuomo is still out front. But I raise that only because, for those who know anything about Maya's history, she has done many things. We'll talk about that again in this hour as we unpack her memoir. But she also, at one point, ran for mayor of New York City. I wonder if I can just ask you to reflect on that experience of running for mayor of New York City. Anything you want to say or not about the present race that the whole country is watching and Andrew Cuomo trying to make a comeback?
Well, Tavis, first of all, let me say, as a Black woman who was running in 2021 to be the first woman mayor ever in the history of New York City to lead the city, I have to say it was an incredibly humbling experience, and I mean that in all the best ways. It was humbling to be surrounded and embraced by so many women of so many races who were so desperate for a different kind of powerful leadership, who understood the power does not have to come from bullying.
Hmm.
And it was also so inspiring because I can't tell you how many times I ran into either a black woman or a young black girl or even a young white girl or a young Latina who told me how much it had changed their own sense of what they could do as women, as young women, or children who aspired. One little girl who couldn't have been more than 9, who said to me, "I want to be mayor too."
Mm.
And that was not a thing she had said to her mother before my run. And that is incredibly humbling. But it was also incredibly important. And I'm very proud that I did because, I really ran because I wanted to show that there was a possibility to have a different kind of politics in this country, that it didn't require the same politics that have created so many people who don't think it matters if they show up to the polls, or who don't believe who runs, or who feels like these are just people who want your vote, and then they'll do for themselves. And there were other good people in my race. In this race this year in New York City, let me back up. When I ran, we were at one turning point because it was COVID. We were
Hmm.
coming out of COVID.
Hmm.
We were traumatized. The nation was traumatized. The city was traumatized. We lost tens of thousands of lives of loved ones. And we lived with the sound of ambulances day and night. We came out and cheered and, hit our pans like so many other cities and towns and places across this country. But we also saw a divided nation. We saw the anger and we saw some of the even violence that was emerging because people were so divided about how to handle COVID. But now we find ourselves at a different crossroads for different reasons,
Yeah.
but one in which we're in a country that is facing something that for we who are Black have experienced in our long history in this country, which is authoritarianism,
Hmm.
which is a rule of law that doesn't protect, but in fact attacks you. And what we're now seeing is that being applied for in unprecedented ways in our history to so many people in this country through this current administration in Washington,
Yeah.
in radical ways. And I use the word radical intentionally. It's radical to say that and question whether or not you should be using, literally usurping a governor's state guard
Hmm.
to turn it into a national police force under the control of a president. When the governor said, "We got this," and
Yeah.
when you have local law enforcement, it is radical to say that you can and should call up the U.S. military into a state to potentially turn it against our own people
Yeah.
on our own soil, doing something that our own Constitution protects, which is peaceful protest. It is unprecedented that we have a sitting president who actually has said out loud that the very thing we are going to celebrate on June 19th and beyond through the weekend is having won a civil war that says if you were born here, you are here.
Hold
If
that.
you are born here, you are a citizen. This is unprecedented, and it is showing up in this race in real ways. To your point, Brad Lander, who's a city comptroller, who's also a personal friend,
Yeah.
literally showing up in a courtroom, literally to walk out and protect the rights of an immigrant, and literally asking simply, "Do you have a warrant?" and being manhandled and arrested.
Hold that thought, Maya. When we come forward, I'll pick up on that note. I'll let you pick up on that note. Just getting started. Glad to have her for the hour. It's going to be a great hour. Her memoir out now is called Remember You Are a Wiley. Going to be a great conversation with Maya Wiley in this hour. June is Black Music Month. You know, we do it a different artist every single day whose music we feature all 3 hours of our program. Today, it's the best of, and why not, Nina Simone.
would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say. Say them loud, say them clear, for the whole round world to hear.
Interrogating and unpacking.
That's what we do around here.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Freedom is an endless meeting, so let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Love me, love me, love me, say you do. Let me fly away with you, for my love is like the wind, and wild as a wind.
It's the best of Nina Simone, all 3 hours of our program today as we continue our celebration of June as Black Music Month. So you're going to be hearing some great music all 3 hours of our conversations today as we weave in and out of these dialogues with our guests. The best of Nina Simone, again, as we celebrate June as Black Music Month. Our guest in this hour is Maya Wiley, President and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. Her new memoir is called Remember You Are a Wiley. I'm going to work my way straight into that memoir in just a second here. But I started this conversation, in case you just tuned in, asking Maya what it was like a few years ago to run for mayor in New York City herself. There's a heated race in New York City right now. The Democratic primary is just around the corner. Eric Adams, as you know, a guest on this program not long ago, has decided not to run on the Democratic ticket, but will run as an independent. Andrew Cuomo has already said no matter what happens in the primary, he's going to stay in the race himself. So everybody's committed to stay in this thing as long as they can. It's going to be a wild and long race in New York City to see who the next mayor will be. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Just months ago, the 4 largest cities in this country all had black mayors. Sylvester Turner, Again, God rest his soul in Houston. Of course, Brandon Johnson in Chicago, Karen Bass here in L.A., Eric Adams in New York City, and things are changing. I hope it is not the case a few months from now that none of these cities will have black mayors. We shall see. But we're tracking this race in New York City, as is the rest of the nation. And again, because Maya ran, I thought I'd get her take on what was happening, in this race right about now. But I had to jump in because of that break. You were talking about Brad Landers and this arrest. Brad Lander, we saw this, on the national news, and I'll let you finish your point. But while you're at it, just assess for me, or give me your assessment, I should say, of all these Democrats who are having run-ins with ICE. I mean, major Democrats. It was Alex Padilla one day. It's Brad Lander another day. There are many others, of course. But we're in this moment where it seems that the federal government has no respect and no regard even for high elected officials. I digress, Maya Wiley. It's all yours.
Well, you do not digress, Tavis. You profess. This is not only a travesty. It feels very intentional. Mm-hmm. It is a targeting of elected leaders, and not only elected leaders, also not-for-profit leaders, union leaders. David Huerta mm-hmm. in Los Angeles, a storied and critically important union leader, all trying to do two things. One, in the instance of both a Representative McIver from New Jersey, from Newark, who showed up at a detention facility, an ICE detention facility, to do what she has a lawful right to do, along with Mayor Ras Baraka, which is to basically to tour the detention facility and make sure people are properly taken care of. It's called oversight. Mm-hmm. It is what members of Congress are supposed to do. It is what sitting senators are supposed to do. And they're supposed to do it of any party, not just an opposition party. That is what we saw Senator Padilla do. He was essentially going and saying, I'm going to come to your press conference in a building I have every right to be in what is essentially a public event, and ask a question. And it is an oversight question, even if it's not in the wells of Congress and of the Senate. And so I say that because what we're really seeing, whether it's David Huerta, whether it's Rep. McIver, whether it was Brad Lander yesterday going into a courthouse where before Donald Trump, there was a clear federal guidance that said ICE stays out of places like courthouses, hospitals, and schools, because that is where immigrants, regardless of their legal status, and the rest of us have every right to go and have our rights protected. And so what the real message here is we will deny oversight. We will deny accountability, and we will come for dissent. We will come for it with all the force of government, and that force is also physical. So this is not only a travesty, it is an intentional aggressiveness to prevent a federal government from being accountable to us.
It is tragic, again, to witness this day in and day out, where the federal government, literally from California to the Carolinas, is out of control as it relates to these ICE raids and the response of Democratic leaders to these raids and the ways in which they are being maltreated and arrested and detained by ICE, as Maya said, for just doing their jobs. I'll make it to some more issues later in this hour, but I really wanted to have Maya back on this program because I didn't get a chance when she was last on to spend much time talking about her memoir. And it's a brilliant and beautiful piece of work. It is a candid self-portrait of a very, very determined woman, an attorney, of course, former New York City mayoral candidate, as I said a moment ago, legal analyst for MSNBC, and now the head of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. It's quite the resume that Maya has built. But none of this is possible without her parents, who were both civil rights activists. So let me just start there. Tell me about your mom and your daddy.
Yeah, I love my mommy and daddy, and I couldn't have asked for a greater set of parents. My father, who's one of six children, whose own father could not go to college, whose own father wanted to be a journalist, but was Black in America, and my grandparents, my father's parents were deeply religious people, raised six children, got six children through college.
Wow.
And my father getting a PhD in organic chemistry from Cornell University in 1957, because my grandmother reminded her children every time they walked out their front door, remember, you are a Wiley. And that had meaning, that had responsibility, that came with weight, and it also came with expectation. But one of the expectations that remember you are a Wiley came with, besides don't embarrass your mama out in them streets, was to those who've been given much, much is expected. And my father, and I'm meeting my mother, who was a white woman from Abilene, Texas. So they were literally from other sides of the world, in many ways, culturally and obviously racially, and across the divides that are America. But she was a white woman from West Texas for whom racism made no sense. Segregation seemed wrong. In fact, even not having normal relations with communist China seemed like a problem. So she was ahead of her time. She had an incredible intellect, and herself was a very powerful person who transcended all kinds of gender boundaries in her very conservative Southern Baptist community, including being a debate champion who insisted that she join the men's debate team because she needed more competition.
Yeah.
And she did. She was such a force of nature. My grandmother was such a force of nature. They let her. But the bottom line is my parents met in New York. My mother, having gotten out of Texas as soon as she could, came to New York City, Union Theological Seminary, a lefty, went straight to the streets of the poorest block in East Harlem, to help girls with reproductive health and understanding their sexual lives, which she wasn't supposed to do, but they needed because they were sexually active. And it taught her that good works weren't going to be enough, that they were necessary, they were her values. And my father, same way, they met at the University of Syracuse. But when they met, the civil rights movement was in full swing. My mother was already engaged. My father was engaged, but engaged in the way a professor would be, right? Showing up in politics, voting, standing up for candidates that stood up for civil rights. But they both jumped headlong into activism, into organizing in the Black community in Syracuse, because they wanted to show racism was as bad in the North, in the South, even if it didn't express itself the same way. And that the movement for civil rights was a national one in addition to a Southern one. And that the school desegregation fights that they engaged in, the stopping the bulldozers from bulldozing Black communities during urban renewal. My own mother pregnant with my brother on the picket lines. And when, they were such, I could go on, and it's in the book, so I won't go on and on, but they were such role models, not just in terms of how they lived their lives and the decisions they made to sacrifice so much that had been given to them in what could have been an easy and respectable life, to do more because that wasn't good enough. And my father left a very prominent career in organic chemistry as a Black man to go onto the front lines of organizing, including Black women on welfare. Because from his vantage point, if we weren't solving Black poverty, we weren't winning the civil rights movement. And that started with Black women. And that's how I was raised. What,
to your point about how I was raised, I was just about to ask, and we got 2 minutes now, we can continue, of course, when we come forward. But what was it like being raised in an activist household no less, with a Black father and a white mother? And I'll get to how you figured out, where you were on the color palette a little bit later in this conversation, and what it was like being a biracial kid growing up in that time. But very quickly, what was it like being raised in an activist household? It seems like you got it honest.
It was exciting and it was hard as hell.
Yeah.
It was exciting because you had all these amazing adults around you all the time, and they were amazing. I had all these aunties. They weren't aunts by blood, but they were aunts by affiliation, and it was like having a huge extended family of amazing people. And some of those amazing people were Black and on welfare, and some of these amazing people were white with big degrees or big bank accounts who were writing checks for the movement. And they were all the same. And that was amazing and wonderful. But it was also, it was really devastating. It was devastating it was hard being little colorful me with a very pale white mother and a Black father who was never around and everybody thinking I was adopted. It was also hard because my father was never around, because he was always, it's 24/7. If you're organizing protests and flying around the country for different protests and for different meetings and trying to improve people's lives, it came first. I was proud of him. I was so proud because I understood he was working to make people's lives better and people I loved lives better. But it was also hard because he was my father. He was my dad, and he was absent.
Yeah. This story gets interesting. The book is called Remember, You Are a Wiley. We'll talk more about it when we come forward. Her father, though, because of that activism and always being gone, he ends up on Richard Nixon's enemies list, even as her mother is organizing third-party political platforms. We'll talk about that part of the story and a great deal more when we come forward with the president and CEO of the Leadership Conference for Civil and Human Rights. Again, the memoir is called Remember, You Are a Wiley. Maya Wiley is our guest right now. Glad about it on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Iran's top leader sent out a cryptic post saying, in part, the battle has begun. Now President Trump is reportedly considering a military strike against Iran, which could thrust the United States into a war. NBC News was with the president yesterday.
A real end, not a ceasefire, an end.
Meanwhile, congressional members on both sides of the aisle are trying to stop the U.S. from getting involved in the Middle East conflict, even drafting legislation to limit the president's war power. Kool-Aid, Jell-O, and Capri Sun may soon have one less ingredient in it. That's because food giant Kraft Heinz plans on ditching synthetic food dyes from its products sold in the United States. It's a big win for Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, who pushed for the removal of these dyes. Research shows Black people have a significantly higher intake of synthetic food dyes. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron James is talking like he's coming back with the Lakers to play his 23rd NBA season. While filming a new commercial for Amazon called What's Next, LeBron told the Associated Press that his main objective in the offseason is to get his left knee healthy. That comment is a clear indication that LeBron is planning to play next season. LeBron suffered a sprained ligament in his knee during Game 5 of the Lakers' season-ending loss to Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs. The injury did not require surgery. LeBron, who turns 41 in December, has been doing treatment and rehab since the injury. LeBron's return is not yet official, He has until June 26th to accept a player option for next season worth $56.2 million. Kevin Durant has told the Phoenix Suns that if they trade him, here are the 3 teams he would like to go to: Miami, San Antonio, or Houston. Durant will be 37 in September. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about. Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
You got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis, Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There'll be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you. Love you.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in.
But we're okay with that.
You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
Mr. Backlash, just who do you think I am? You raise my taxes, freeze my wages, and send my son to Vietnam. You give me second-class houses and second-class schools. Do you think that all colored folks are just second-class fools, Mr. Backlash? I'm gonna leave you with the Backlash Blues.
It's the Backlash Blues from Nina Simone. She's our featured artist of the day. We continue our celebration of June as Black Music Month, and all 3 hours of our program today, it's the best of one Nina Simone. Again, that track is called Backlash Blues, which is appropriate given what Maya Wiley and I were just talking about. Maya Wiley is our guest in this hour, the president and CEO of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, has a memoir out now called Remember You Are a Wiley. Love that title, Remember You Are a Wiley. That's what her grandmother told her babies when they walked out of the house, remember, you are a Wiley. Somebody said, what's in a name? Everything, if your name is Wiley. And Maya Wiley was sharing with us moments ago about what it was like to be raised in an activist house. Black father, white mother, both activists, met at Syracuse University. She said her father was always gone, of course, organizing all kinds of meetings and protests and the like. So much so that he found himself on Richard Nixon's enemies list. Speaking of backlash blues, Maya, tell me about that part of the story.
Well, it's funny because my mother used to laugh about it, which is really the way my parents dealt with all kinds of risks, is they would laugh in the face of it, which is something they taught me and I've never forgotten. But it was a point of pride. It was intended to be intimidating, right? Because the FBI, as we know, particularly then, and these are the days also of COINTELPRO, when the FBI was literally spying and undermining civil rights movements around the country, because they hated it almost as much as they hated anything they thought was communism, and treated it similarly, despite the fact that it was a movement just to demand basic rights and equality and inclusion and being seen as part of the fabric of this country with all the rights attendant to it. Or the dignity of just being able to pay your bills, being able to ensure that your kids had clothes on their backs and enough food to eat. So for them and for my father, they never skipped a beat. And it was almost not a joke, because I don't want to suggest they thought light of it, because for them it was an example of the injustice of the country. But certainly they felt that they were doing the right thing if they were on that list. If my father and his organization, which was the National Welfare Rights Organization, and before that, the Congress on Racial Equality, meant that they were doing the right thing, because Nixon wasn't.
Yeah. I'm pausing here only because I am fascinated by, and frankly moved, because I know the story. I've read the book, but I'm fascinated by how vivid your memories are of your father. And the deep and abiding love that one can hear listening to you talk about your father and your mother, but specifically your father I raised now, because your life changed dramatically. Your life was upended at the age of 9. And I'll let you tell the audience what I'm making reference to.
Yeah. I did love my father, and I also had a difficult relationship with him because he was always gone, because I was angry about his always being gone, because when he was home, he was so much fun. He was, but I also was, I loved sitting on his lap and going to his office and sitting on his lap, because everybody would tell me I looked just like him. And that made me so happy. And when he died. Okay, that was me telling the end before the beginning. But, we were going on a family vacation with him. And it was really a joyous thing because we got so little time with him. And he was really making an effort. My parents' marriage, they were separating. And so as a result, because the movement is hard on families.
Oh, yeah.
It is very hard on families. And they were separating. So he was making a real effort to spend a lot of time with us. And he had decided that he was going to buy this little boat. And we drove from Washington, which is where we lived at the time, in his little fallen apart sports car, which was fun to do anyway, just taking a drive it was a convertible, with the red convertible, if you didn't include the color of the rust on it. But we loved that car and we loved riding with him in it. And it was summer, it was August, we had the roof down. We went to pick up this boat he bought, I guess sight unseen. And, we spent the night on the boat, and he taught us how to drive the boat. We jumped off the boat the night before, went swimming. It was one of the best memories I've had of his life, of my time with him. And the next day, we were driving the boat back to DC, where he had organized a place where he would slip it. and it was rough. He was advised not to take the boat out. He did, because my father didn't have a risk-averse bone in his body, and he fell off the boat. And my brother had been driving at the time. I had been taking a nap below. I heard the splash. I heard the laughing. My father was a very strong swimmer, so it was funny. I ran up to be in on the joke, and they were all, everybody. I joined the laughing, and I don't even know how long it was, but it was not quick. We weren't laughing anymore because Dad was getting tired, and we couldn't figure out how to get him back in the boat. We were afraid to get the boat too close to him because we might hit him by accident. I was trying to get rope out to him, but the wind was strong and the ropes were knotted, and I couldn't get one heavy enough to pierce that wind. And we'll never forget, my brother and I were getting so desperate that we finally decided, again, my brother was driving, that we had to turn the boat around and try to pull up next to him because we were so afraid, and he was screaming at this point, "Hurry, hurry." And so my brother was pulling off, and I turned around to look over my shoulder at Dad, and I just saw his head go underwater. And the look on his face, I will never forget. I don't know how to describe it, because to this day I wonder what he was thinking, but he wasn't screaming anymore. And it almost looked like an assessment. I don't know if that was of his life. I don't know if that was of what would happen to us. I don't know if that was understanding that it was the end. But his head just went under, just like that. And my brother and I did what kids do, which is we just thought we have to live. We were two little kids, 9 and 10 years old, on a boat in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay, and we didn't know how to get home. And we turned that boat, my brother turned that boat. We just decided to drive straight to shore. That's all we could think to do. There were no other boats around. Nobody else was on the water. And drove straight to shore. And then had the experience of race in America.
Hold that thought, Maya.
Hold
that thought. This is arresting. And what a story. Having just celebrated Father's Day, what a story. More with Maya Wiley when we come forward on Tavis, Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Attention Los Angeles County renters and landlords. Starting January 1st, 2025, there are new rules limiting rent increases for rent-stabilized units in unincorporated LA County. Most rent-stabilized units will have rent increases capped at 2.565% from January through June 2025, with exceptions for qualified small property landlords and luxury units. To learn more about the new changes, visit rent.lacounty.gov. This message is brought to you by Los Angeles County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Maya Wiley, who has just shared the most arresting story I have perhaps ever heard. So she and her brother, their ages 9 and 10, have witnessed their father drowned. Somehow they get this boat back to shore. And then she was about to say to us, she experienced a virulent form of racism, which was what, Maya?
Well, you can imagine, well, or maybe you can't, but what it means to be scared children who need adults to help them. And I should explain that, my brother and I look different. I'm a little brown child, and he's a little white-looking child. Mm-hmm. People often thought I was adopted. Mm-hmm. And so you get this little mismatched pair of kids driving a boat up to a beach, dropping anchor, and we had been screaming from the boat, "Help, help." Because we saw a few people swimming in the water, not a lot, but a few, and there were some people on the beach, and they just looked at us. We had dropped anchor as close as we dared get to the beach. We had life preservers on. We always wore life preservers on the boat. Mm-hmm. We didn't take risks that way. His own life preserver had ripped somehow in the fall into the water, which is why he wasn't wearing one, as I recall. Mm-hmm. But so we had our life, and we jumped into the water, thinking we were going to have to swim to shore. Luckily, it was only up to our knees. In fact, that gave us a little laugh because we had been so dramatic about this dramatic swim we were going to make. It turned out we were up to our knees in water. Mm-hmm. But we were rushing. We immediately started rushing to the shore, and we were yelling for help. And the white people on the beach just looked at us. And there were some houses up on the beach, not far from where we were. So we ran to the first house. Mm-hmm. No answer. We finally get to a house where we ring the doorbell, and a gentleman answers the doorbell. Everybody was white on the beach. Right. Everybody was white at the houses. And he opens the door, and we tell him our father just, I don't remember the exact words we used, but basically our father just disappeared. And he looked at us with such care and concern, and he immediately took us in, and he immediately called the police, and he immediately, did just embrace us the way you would expect an adult to. Sure. But what struck me is how many adults we had to get through to get to one who would help us. Yeah. And it's just think about that. And it wasn't lost on me at the age of 9 how hard it was.
It is, you hear me say on this program all the time that it's the backstory that I love. I have known Maya Wiley for years. I've watched Maya Wiley's work and witness. I've supported Maya Wiley in that work and witness in ways that I could. offering her access to my platforms. And until this memoir came out, I did not know this story. I didn't know about her parents and their activism, didn't know about her mother being white and her father being black, didn't know about her father drowning in front of her own eyes. Didn't know this backstory, but each of us is the sum total of our life's experiences. And this is why I tell you all the time I love the backstory. I now understand Maya Wiley better than I ever have. I understand why she is motivated to do the work that she does. I understand why she is a truth teller. I understand why she calls him as she sees him. I understand why she ran for mayor of New York City. I understand why she does the work as the president and CEO now of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. If you don't get that, you don't understand why she does what she does after hearing that story, then you will never get Maya Wiley. The memoir is called Remember You Are a Wiley, Our Remaining Moments with Maya Wiley, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Catch Prep is now enrolling for summer credit recovery in fall 2025. As South Los Angeles' top-performing high school in English, math, and college access, Catch Prep is welcoming all 9th through 12th graders to enroll now. Catch Prep offers a small, supportive, and safe learning environment to help all students succeed, so that all students feel valued, respected, and motivated to reach their full potential. For the past 20 years, Catch Prep has helped more students of color gain admission to top-tier universities, with our graduating seniors earning a total of $3 million in scholarships, more than any other school in Los Angeles. We are dedicated to helping all students turn your college dreams into reality. Catch Prep is now enrolling. Visit us online at catchhighschool.com or call 323-293-3917. Spaces limited. Please enroll now for summer credit recovery and fall 2025. Call 323-293-3917 or enroll today at catchhighschool.com.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
I've got less than 4 minutes left in this conversation with Maya Wiley. The book is called, the memoir is called Remember You Are a Wiley. I did not get a chance in this hour to talk about her being a biracial student and struggling to fit into the color palette of Washington's public schools. We didn't talk about Georgetown Day. We didn't talk about the field school. We didn't talk about Dartmouth. We didn't talk about Columbia Law. We didn't talk about her internship in the Philippines investigating human rights violations. That's right, you heard me right, in the Philippines. We didn't talk about her serving a federal clerkship. We didn't talk about her positions at the ACLU, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the George Soros Open Society Institute. So much we could not get to in this hour, but all of this informs Maya's real-time commitment to progressive change. As I said earlier, I now get Maya Wiley in ways that I did not do, but I never had, rather. But I understand why she is so engaged in the work and witness that she is every single day. I've got 2 minutes left here. Maya's coming to Los Angeles. If you're in Southern California this weekend on the 21st, go to any of our socials, KBLA, my local station. Just go to KBLA 1580. If you're listening around the country, listening in LA, go to our socials. You'll get more details about the event this Saturday. We are continuing our relationship this year with the Empowerment Congress, founded by our friend and brother, longtime public servant, Mark Ridley Thomas. And Maya is the keynote speaker at a major Juneteenth event this weekend. I'll be moderating that event, so I can't wait to see Maya again, give her a big hug, welcome her to Southern California, and hear what she has to say. In the 90 seconds, 2 minutes I have left, Maya, I give it all to you. What is it that you hope to share this weekend about the moment that we find ourselves in this place called America?
Well, Tavis, I can't answer that question without first telling you how moved and honored and humbled I am by those words you shared about me before the last break. I have to say that because you've been an important voice, a powerful voice, and a critical platform. And all I'm going to remind people on Juneteenth is that we are the ones we've been waiting for. I think about what we're going to celebrate on Juneteenth, all the rights our forebears gained for us that are under attack, that are being taken away by, frankly, a small man with a pen that nobody should be allowing to let him use the way he is. And that, though, is not about forgetting how powerful we are.
Yeah.
That we are the ones who will author our next chapter in this country. We are now the ones standing where our forebears stood before the Civil War, during the Civil War, and during Reconstruction. We are now the ones standing at that crossroads of our forebears who protested in the Montgomery bus boycott or who sat at a Woolworth lunch counter. Oh, yeah. We are now that generation, and we are the people who have the power. And this Juneteenth, more than any other, we will remember that they cannot take from us what we gave to ourselves.
Go to any of my my personal socials, or again, if you're in LA, KBLA 1580, and you will get all the details about the event this Saturday. There are a number of events we are engaged in this week, celebrating the 4th anniversary of my home station here in LA. And I deeply thank you for all of you for your support of this station 4 years in. But I encourage you to get Maya's memoir. There'll be copies available at the Empowerment Congress event. It's called Remember You Are a Wiley, one of the best books I have read in a long time. And I've said many times that every race ought to be judged by the best they've been able to produce. Maya Wiley is among the best our race has ever produced. Again, the memoir, Remember You Are a Wiley, written by the President and CEO of the Leadership Conference for Civil and Human Rights, Maya Wiley, who I've honored in being our guest in this hour. Maya, thank you. I'll see you this weekend, Lord willing.
I look forward to it, Tavis. You be safe until then.
See you soon. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Iran's top leader sent out a cryptic post saying, in part, the battle has begun. Now, President Trump is reportedly considering a military strike against Iran, which could thrust the United States into a war. NBC News was with the president yesterday.